Imagine being so ruthless that you end up doing such heinous crimes that lead you to receive the capital punishment. There are convicts who received these sentences, but then couldn't believe they were confronted. With this video today, we will show you some of the famous criminal cases which will force you to question if humanity is even there anymore. The story of Timothy Joins Jr., Illinois will shock you up. A father of 5 took a step of killing his own children, who were 11 or less than that. He was nothing but a mass murderer. The hysterically crying woman you just saw was the mother of those 5 children. Timothy tried bringing up insanity as the reason behind the heinous crime he had done. He talked about hearing and seeing things that were not real. Timothy couldn't only be a good father, but also failed in becoming a good human for this world. Although he broke down while the video of him apologizing to his children played, the 5 children who were murdered cannot come back. The jury took less than 2 hours to sentence him to death for the unforgivable crime he did, which shows the reality of the crime. Those 5 sweet souls will never forget what their father did. Timothy was still joking around his lawyers and colleagues when he was sentenced to death, and the inconsolable tears he shed for his children weren't true at all. His cries or insanity didn't help him at all, and Timothy was sent to South Carolina in 2019, which is where he has to spend his life while being on death row. You just saw Anthony Kirkland, a serial killer from Ohio, who committed the crime of raping and murdering 4 women. Can you believe it? The more shocking thing is that 2 of his victims were just little girls of the age 13 and 14. His first crime took place in 1987 just because a woman refused to sleep with him or to spend a night with him. Later he raped and murdered her. He was nothing but a sex addict. Committing these crimes, he was sentenced to death for 10 to 25 years, but was later released on parole in 2014 after 16 years of punishment. The impact of these 16 years and this punishment was next to nothing on him. He planned on committing the rest of the crimes after getting released from jail between 2006 and 2009.
In the meantime, if in fact it's more appropriate for the Sheriff's Department to have him go back, that's fine with me. I do not need to hold him here for that unless the attorneys want to hold him here for some reason to talk to him, but other than that, he can go back as far as I'm concerned. Yes, sir. But again, thank you for that special service. I mean that a lot. That would be toughest for me to go back and do that, but you did a great job. I appreciate that. To all of you, from the bottom of my heart, my sincere commendation, gratitude, all those things, and I mean it. That had to be just tremendously difficult to sit through what you have sat through, with people like you, to make this system work. So thank you for that. Thank you for all you've done. You are now released from your duties. All those admonitions I've talked about, you're released from those. You can talk to anybody you'd like to, but you do not have to talk to anyone. If anyone says, I want to talk to you about your jury service or whatever, that is completely up to you. If you wish to talk to somebody regarding counseling in accordance with your jury duty, we can make that available for you. Just let us know. We'll be more than happy to do that. It's not a problem at all. As a matter of fact, you deserve that if that's what you want. All right, thank you all very much. All right, court's in recess.
2 out of all the 4 women he murdered were tortured and strangled to death. The one common thing he used to do for all was to burn their bodies so that no evidence was left against him. While he was being heard of his charges, he reacted in a way no one expected. He couldn't even complete hearing all the 12 charges he was being sentenced from and fainted in between. After repeatedly pleading not guilty, video proofs were played right in front of him in court, and finally, he apologized in a way nobody ever will. He stated himself to be a terrible person and made himself stand next to an evil monster, which is absolutely correct. He is equal to a horrible person who did not care about the poor souls he killed just for his own satisfaction, though all his acceptance did not make the jury change their decision or to see him as a good person. The other heart-shaking story, which will make you question how cruelty has filled up the hearts of humans and there is no humanity left in the world, is the case of Tiffany Moss of Georgia State. Tiffany, a preschool teacher. She did such a heinous thing that the God would not even forgive her. She was charged with an unforgivable crime of murdering her own stepdaughter named Amani Moss in 2019, who was just an 8-year-old. Tiffany married Gabriello Moss, Father Moss, who until then had largely raised the money of his own there, who, not being an attentive father, had no idea or knowledge of Tiffany abusing his own biological daughter. The murder received national as well as international attention. The attention was largely due to the crime's severe nature. Tiffany had to lose her job after this, blaming her for the loss. Tiffany physically abused Amani for several years before her death. In 2013, Moss began starving Amani. Amani died of starvation on October 28, 2013. At the time of her death, she weighed 32 pounds, 15 kilograms, the weight of an average toddler. The murder led to several systemic changes in the Georgia Division of Family and Child Services. The case against Moss went to trial, and in April 2019, Moss, who represented herself, was convicted of all counts. She was sentenced to death on May 1, 2019. She is currently incarcerated at the Arundel State Prison and is Georgia's only female death row inmate. No child deserves such horrible treatment from their own mother. The next case is so horrifying that you might feel the pain in yourself. Markeith Lloyd of Florida, who faced the death penalty for murdering an Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. And shockingly, this wasn't his first or only murder. Markeith has performed such evil crimes before as well. In the peak winters of December in 2016, Markeith killed his own girlfriend by shooting her, and the more terrible thing he did was to kill her while she was pregnant. He didn't only kill his own girlfriend but also his own child. This is such a horrific thing which someone can ever do too. A manhunt began in January 2017. Whilst Lloyd was still on the run, Lieutenant Deborah Clayton saw her while she was shopping for her anniversary. When Deborah went to confront him for whatever he had done, he repeated exactly what he had done to his girlfriend. He shot her and murdered her. Later, when he was brought in the police station, the reporters asked him why he had done all these sins. His constant reply was that they had beaten him up. Later, he claimed that he did not even perform the murder and knew nothing about it. He even tried running from the court while his lawyers asked him not to. He changed them, but he was neither happy with the new ones. He was given the death sentence for all the horrific things he has contributed to the world. The child victim suffered a horrendous, physically painful, psychologically torturous death, Hillsborough Circuit Judge Michelle Cisco said with her voice cracking before removing her glasses to wipe away tears. We are now talking about the shocking and most inhumane case of rape and murder of Felicia Williams. It was 2014 when Felicia's mother had left the house and the 9-year-old was home alone when Granville Ritchie did the unimaginable. Investigators said Ritchie assaulted and strangled young Felicia Williams before stuffing her body in a suitcase and dumping her into the water near the Courtney Campbell Causeway. Almost 6 years later, in September 2019, 12 jurors agreed that Ritchie, who grew up in Jamaica, should face the death penalty. While everybody kept giving their heartbroken testimonies wishing the worst for Ritchie, Felicia's father forgives him for the actions. Let's see what he said after that. All this time, Ritchie decides to show no remorse for his actions. Even the judge is deeply saddened by the tragic death of baby Felicia and couldn't hold back her tears. These were the reactions of convicts after they were sentenced to death. Capital punishment isn't given without the depth of crime being too horrendous, and we surely believe they deserved it. But do you think they deserved it too?